practice is intense practice. And you've done it before.
Okay.
Parts of it, I think. And each portion of the practice, it can be done individually for maybe years if you want to carry one method for a long time. I stood with one meditation method for about 5 years before everything else kind of opened up for me through meditation, like hands-on healing and more practice in intuitive development and that kind of stuff. But it just kind of happens by itself.
Okay.
You know, one of the things is like you practice something for a certain period of time, and all of a sudden you get the method, or you kind of get the idea of it, and it comes natural.
Okay.
So that's where we are with this. So I have a little explanation of the white canopy, and I can go off the top of my head to remember it, but I'll scramble. It's tough off. So originally this was called 9-5 platform cultivation, and it referred to in ancient China, these two numbers, 9 and 5, played a very important role in society, especially as a king in imperial China in ancient times. So we're going to explain from that point.
Okay.
And then I'll go into why it's called white canopy.
Okay.
Because originally it was that way, 9-5, and Chinese was Jiu Tango, the 9-5 platform cultivation. But as we're here in America, not in China, because I put this together while I was in China, it doesn't make sense, 9-5. People hear 9-5 and they think work day, work week.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to do anything that has that in it. So I looked at where it was connected to. Furthermore, I had to translate from where it was connected to, and white canopy was the name that fit much better according to what it's based on.
Okay.
So the 9 in odd numbers is the highest in odd numbers. 5 is this middle point. Okay, so odd numbers represent yang in Chinese numerology and this type of practice. The highest point of pure yang energy. Okay, yang energy. It's a symbol of one's inherent wisdom. So 9 being an extremely high point, a culminating point. Any other further significance? I have not found anything else. So, in reference to Buddhist teachings, 9 grades of bodhisattvahood, 9 grades of the Pure Land in Amitabha Buddha's cultivation practice, there is a reference to 9 various stages of practice in cultivating something called Pure Land method, which means purification or refinement of your mind. So 9 being pure yang also means that it clears from all attachments, false thinking, desires. In Taoism, there is always talk of the will of heaven. This will is of non-discrimination. And the heavens is the cosmos. And the very pure substance that makes all myriad things be as they are. So we're now referencing like the source, or the very core of everything outside of when all our thoughts and attachments and things and constructs of the mind are gone, our senses and the mind, which is our 6 senses, what is there? And that, just for the sake of saying, silence is what's there. And even the discriminating on that silence, the distinguishing of that silence is no longer there. So the translation of the original name of this 9-5, or Jiu, in English, is one of context. It's translated as imperial. So kind of like to mean emperor, but we're not taking an emperor's seat or the name emperor. It's just the context of the responsibility. Okay, an emperor is the meeting point in ancient Chinese culture. An emperor is a meeting point of heaven and man, or the will of heaven and dispersing that information to all society to rule. It's also called like the so-called the highest position of human beings in rulership. So being the president or an emperor is pretty high up there on the status scale and has one of a great influence into all society. So represent the will of heaven, and people trust in that wisdom in ancient times. Like a mouthpiece of great virtue and wisdom teachings, an emperor or king is to be of proper conduct through the realization of the will of heaven. Like a king, the Buddha is respected and recognized as one of complete wisdom and a teacher of all living beings, just being a teacher. So you would rely on a teacher for information. How do I do this, teacher? Oh, here's a method to learn how to do this. A plus B equals blah 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 in algebra. So you're looking at the Buddha from a perspective of him being a teacher, not of the generalized idea of him being some type of a deity or a god or a godhead. It's more of, I need someone to show me how to do this. And it's like, here's a method, good luck. Right, on with you. So the 5 represents the midpoint, or the meeting point of this high wisdom, so everyone else can get it. So by being a teacher, in this position, like the emperor, it would use expedience to direct people towards a wisdom attainment or realization. So 9-5 would mean just that, to take wisdom realized and teach everyone indiscriminately how to do the same. So when you're practicing this method, it's more of taking a seat of refinement, like taking a position of refinement, refining the mind, which in whichever way you do, like, okay, here's a method I'll bring you, but then you have your own thing that you do personally, be it religion or just personal philosophy or something. And it's taking a position of refining that to a point where you learn these methods in order to teach. So it doesn't mean you have to go out and teach, but then you have this. And you do that with yourself. Refining and teaching yourself. In which that comes off of the body, comes out of you, and affects the environments and people around you. So this first practice is for your inherent wisdom, to cultivate that, and really take it deep, and be able to embody that, or further embody it, or refine it even further. It's a very, very intense thing. So, White Canopy now, this is interesting. White Canopy is also a name of the Shurangama Sutra, one of the many names of the sutra. The sutra can be described or translated as great and indestructible teachings. It just means great, meaning the mind or the original nature is vast. And the original nature is not inclusive or exclusive. It's not exclusive. It doesn't just hold to one specific thing. It is within all things. It is that nature that, kind of like when you have a silent moment with an animal, and you know that right there you've met with them in that mind. And there is no worry, no fear. Everything is calm. It's kind of in that state, but that's just for the sake of saying so. Just giving a general idea. So the White Canopy refers to the name of the sutra, Shurangama. And it is pointing to the original mind. It's stated as the thus nature, or the nature of all the Buddhas. So now we're cultivating that inner state of Buddhahood. And we're directing our mind inward.
Sanskrit words?
Sanskrit word, Siddhartha.
Sutra. Is sutra Chinese? Or?
No, Sanskrit.
Okay.
Shurangama also would be Sanskrit. So, the first mantra in Mudra, I'll just quickly describe it for you.
So did Buddhism start then in India and go to China?
Yes.
Okay.
So what happened, it would start in India as just methodological practices. And then when the Buddha left the world physically, his students then compiled the discourses that he had, written them down, and spent such a long time making sure that what they remembered was as he meant. So the process of doing so, that at least we hope that is what they did. Because the process of translating sutras to any language isn't very simple. You have to be masterful at the language, your first language, and then reach that same level in the language you're translating from. Then it's a revision of the translation, making sure that this fits the commentary you're translating from. In so doing, you have to keep refining and editing, revising and editing to make sure that you did not leave anything out. And then it goes through a review. And if that review finds one thing wrong, the whole thing has to get done again, because you're just changing one word. Perhaps the context of that word has influenced the rest of your paragraphs. So it's not an easy thing. In China, they were employed 500 monks to do translating and revising. Here in the Buddhist Text Translation Society in California, created by Master Xuan Hua, or his disciples, the process was they were to be masterful at English, and masterful at Chinese, and then Sanskrit. Just as I would assume as a backup. Hey, we have the Chinese text, but let's just make sure and go to the Sanskrit and see how that was translated. And then it was also revised and refined to the teacher's commentary. So if one word or one phrase was a little off on Master Hua's commentary, it was done over again. And that was the whole process. So because of that strict adherence to translating rules, we would hope to assume, it would be good to assume, or bring somewhat of a positive light, that these discourses that are over 2,000 some odd years old, maybe not exactly the same, but at least hold the semblance of what he was talking about, of what the Buddha was saying. So far, so good. Some people take it off that way, take it that way, and so with the Shurinkama, the reason why this is a very intense practice is because its roots are in literally refining and being honest. You're refining your mind, and being honest is that actually what you're doing. There's a chapter in the sutra that is called the 50 skandha demon states. It's these 50 afflictions that can arise when you are meditating. Anything. It can be the slightest thing, but he only gives 50 as a general concept. And there can be combinations of 500, 5,000, 5 million, whatever. But just give you an idea of how to catch the mind and not think, the best thing is to slice bread. You just catch yourself right there and go back. So if you catch yourself and you recognize this as just a passing state, good, you're all right. But if you recognize it in a way that tells you you're great and you're succeeding and you're amazing and better, now you have gained an enlightenment, you have gained a spiritual ability, you have gained some type of insight, and you use that for the benefit from others, meaning lying to them, cheating them, and creating groups to keep lying and cheating without them even knowing they're doing it. Well, that's terrible. So he's saying these states, they can go one way or the other way. You have to catch your mind. So what makes it intense is that you're always reflecting back on yourself. Am I really working this out? Or am I just saying, I'm great, look at me, I'm great? And you want to stop that.
Okay.
So this is all an internal reflection for these things. So it's very intense. It's like a whole school of practice in one set. There's 3 sets that we generally practice for the White Canopy, and then it goes to the Shurinkama mantra itself, the Great Compassion mantra, and its 42 hands and eyes. So those are the last things to practice as you get along, if ever wanting to. Depends. It's all conditional. If it arises for you to do that, then you do that. If it doesn't, then it doesn't.